Gilbert, talk to us about like your first food experience. Like, where did how did it all come to you?
The first time?
You just as a child, or when did food become a part of your
My grandfather was in Dallas in the early 1900s and helped the Martinez family open the original El Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
And he was part of their original kitchen crew. Then after about 7 or 8 years, he left and went to East Texas to Tyler to open his own restaurant. And it was there that we would go to visit him on the weekends, and we would always walk through the kitchen to say hello to all the guys back there, and it was just a big thrill for me, and I loved it. It was a crew back there.
Did you know? Did you know like immediately that
I had no idea that this was going to be something that I was interested in until many years later. I was 12, and he passed away, and my uncles, his sons, let me work in the kitchen on one of the weekends that we were there. And I was this little kid, when they put an apron on me, it looked like a dress, and gave me one little specific assignment. And so I did that, and it was just thrilling. That's when I think that's when I first got hit with wow, this is really great, I really love it. Both my parents, even though neither one of them is in the business, are excellent cooks. We had meals at home all the time. I mean, every night Mom would cook, and then every morning Dad and I would sit down to breakfast. The girls didn't have breakfast, but Dad and I would. So
nice.
That being a point of reference, I mean, that and my grandfather and the whole legacy behind what he was able to accomplish, I guess really at some point after college kind of propelled me into furthering my interest and endeavor in this business.
Food means so much, right? Like that's why we're all foodies, right? And we only allowed the foodies, and we had such a small group that we could accomplish today. Thank you so much for being here with us. But what does food mean to everybody? Like why do we call ourselves foodies? I mean, what has it meant in your life, Jennifer? Like, talk about food.
Well,
it's important in your business.
As you mentioned,
I would think so.
I grew up in the Midwest, and I had a stay-at-home mother. I actually remember my first can of ravioli because it didn't happen until I think I was maybe 13 years old, because my mother would make breakfast, lunch, and dinner for us every night.
Wow.
And so for me, it's a reminder of home. But the thing that I really love about Dallas, having moved from the Midwest, is that, I can experience a lot more than just mom's home cooking. I mean, you can literally go to any corner here and get all these wonderful cuisines, and it's the last holdout. I'm approaching 50 years old. I can't quite do the things that I used to do as a young kid, but I still have food, and it's an amazing treat for me.
Yeah.
Well, I would think in being an event planner, whenever all of us, whenever you go to a party, what's the thing you remember more than anything? The party's fun, but if the food's good, you add that to the state. It was a great party, but the food was off the chain.
Absolutely.
And I think that's what's missing on a lot of event planning events that I go to. The food's not so good. And it doesn't mean you spend $200 a person necessarily, right?
Absolutely. No, you don't have to spend that much per person to get good food, and I think a lot of times it comes down to who you're dealing with on that type of level and how passionate they are about what they're doing. I mean, that has a lot to do with it, and not everybody has that. It really is. Every time I look down the table at all of the different people that are sitting here, all of you are gifted in some way, clearly. But whatever your gift is, you're the one that's responsible for kind of cultivating that, just kind of like I am.
Right.
And when you have something that you're really passionate about, it can get arduous and difficult at times, but I think more often than not, it's rewarding, and it's inspiring enough for you to keep going after it.
My grandmother was an awesome cook. She was not a chef, but she was amazing in the kitchen. And I was the oldest grandchild, very close to her, so I used to have the opportunity to be in the kitchen with her, and she would clearly say to me that when you cook with love, you can tell.
Oh, 100%.
It's similar,
100%.
right? You can tell. So now, everybody in my, and I'm not like an amazing cook, but I can cook. I'm okay in the kitchen. But I'm watching the salt, and I just watch the exact right. I mean, and they all make fun of me, but that's my love.
No,
that's my love.
extra.
So it exudes into the food when you're.
You can.
Yeah,
and you can also
definitely.
tell when people don't care
Right.
that much.
See, I grew up.
We
I grew
can
up in a
taste your
house-
love, Gilbert. We can taste
Oh,
your
I'm
love
glad
right
you
now.
did.
Really good. It's
Very
it's
good.
Really good.
I grew up in a house where it was the complete opposite of what you're saying. I mean, it was all processed food. There were Pop-Tarts and Cookie Crisp for breakfast, bologna sandwiches for lunch with chips and Tab. And, I'd come home from school and make brownies. That was my after-school snack, was eating brownie
And she
batter
was still
mix.
thin, by the way.
Right.
I was always thin. People made fun of me. But, I never really experienced good food until I was a junior in college and I went to Spain for a semester. And I was just blown away. And then traveling through Europe where, even when you're not eating at particularly expensive restaurants, the food is fresh.
Right.
And it's just, there's a different quality to it, and there's just a lot more love and culture put into it. And, you go to a restaurant and the pasta's freshly made. It's not, coming from a box. So I just that's when I fell in love with food.
Must have been a great experience.
It was. I
First
ate really
time.
well that semester.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
Yeah. Food is the one thing that everybody can agree on. Even in what we're trying to do here and with video, it's something that everybody relates to. Everybody on some level has an experience, has a love for food. I mean, some of us more than others, but it brings people together. I'm sure you feel that every single night when you open your doors.
Absolutely. I mean, it's one of the fundamental reasons why I'm in this business. People come in here and have anniversaries, they celebrate birthdays, they celebrate weddings, they celebrate funerals, they do all of the above, and it's all about communion.
Right.
Sitting down and breaking bread and having something to eat, and that never gets lost on me when I look out into the dining room and I see people, because it's an experience. They've chosen to come here and they're spending time with each other. And I'm fortunate enough, after having owned this restaurant for as long as I have, that a lot of the people here are present when they're in this restaurant. They're not messing around with their phones. They really are engaged with each other and present. So it's very gratifying. It really is.